Hi, good morning. What is the role of the prices? The prices, in general, if you ask the majority of people, they tell you this is the price of the commodity. It's just the price. Yeah, what does it mean? What do they reflect? What do they represent? Well, it's the price of the commodity. People, they want to know the price and, that's what they buy. If you ask people of wisdom, they tell you the price was meant to transport, to keep the flow of the emotions between people, to navigate freely, as they call it in the WTO, free trade. Yeah, they say free trade. Do not create barriers. A price was meant between people, it's the price of the commodity, but between one person and another, there is a flow of the emotions. Not necessarily the person is gonna give him a discount, but it's a potential. The potential of what? The potential of something to be developed or to be actualized in each person. What is this? There is, you lower the price and there is feeling. There was something from the person who lowered the price in the other person's heart. He lowered the price, this feeling of, compassion. Compassion, tenderness, sympathy, empathy. There is something. The buyer, not necessarily the vendor, the buyer himself. There are some few pennies left. No, don't worry about them, just leave them. There is a flow. You understand? Freely, there are no frontiers. Now, we have cases where and when the two people, talking about the retailer and the customer, there is an affection between the two, but they don't beneficiate. They transport it, but they don't beneficiate from it. They transport a bullion of gold, but it's not theirs. You have the company that sells the product, that manufactures the product. Then it goes to the wholesaler to the retailer. We call a retail outlet. Who is giving this discount? That's the big company, after enslaving an uncountable number of employees. A discount periodically. Periodically, why? Periodically, what do you mean why? It's not a question, yo. They didn't give a discount, 25% discount, 10% discount, 50% discount, 75% discount, buy one, take one free, which is the case. This is a discount. It goes to the wholesaler and it goes to the retailer. All of them, they transport a bullion of gold, potential bullion of gold, and none of them is a shareholder. They transport. They are all of them. Then this person, the customer, comes and goes to, the store. Take a look at the tag. Doesn't have any kind of link to the customer. To the vendor. He takes a look at the tag. It's 25% off. He goes to the cashier. It's 25%. They are smiling. They are talking to each other, but they are not talking with each other. They are smiling at each other, but they are not smiling with each other. They transport the gold, potential gold. It goes back, the reputation goes back to the manufacturer, to the company, big company. This is the slavery of the modern society. Prices were meant to allow, to let the trade between a person, one. Well, here we goes. At any time, you speak about something, this modern man, the scientist, the intellectual person, anytime you speak about something wrong, whenever they speak about or they think about the alternative, they go to the extreme. What do you want to live like? I gave the example initially on a small scale. On a large scale, they say dumping, you know, it's internationally, it's against the law. You're not supposed dumping, meaning you drop the prices very low to sell a large quantity, which is against these international law. Yet, they do it, they verbalize it, or they make it official. Dumping is against the law, but officiously they do it. Clandestinely they do it. They do it other way. The same thing when they speak about the free trade. Free trade, that means to allow without barriers. Meaning, you're not supposed to, like speaking the free trade, one of the barriers is, a lot of taxes, and you limit the quotas, expensive license. There are other bureaucracy, the bureaucracy, red tape as they call it. Yet, these G7, including Australia and New Zealand, they did not open this free trade until and unless they monopolize every sector of industry. That means the flow is between each other and they enslave the South. See, the high-tech North enslaving the South different ways. That's not my topic. My topic is about the prices. The flow of the emotions were meant to flow. Now, what do they represent? They represent the harmony of a human being. These are the prices. As I said, the law prohibits that officially. Yet, they do it. I'm talking about dumping, dropping the prices below that limit, whatever. Just let's take a look, quick look, at the divine, or more precisely, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What during his time, what those people, the merchants, they stocked the commodities. It's not specified, they stock the commodities, of course. Once it is like there is a penury of that particular commodity, they take it out to sell it more expensive. That's against the law, against the divine law. So he asked them, he gave instructions to be taken out to, wherever. By the time they put it out, they took it out, he showed people what is the role of the governor. They took it out, and then they suggested to him, his companions, he said, "Oh Prophet, why don't you fix the price?" Like says, give a price fixed. One of the situations where the Prophet showed his anger, really angry, he got mad, not egoistically, when things they touch him, never. When they teach the things they touch, lordship. You worship in a state of servitude, you touch the lordship. This is one of them. Another one is people spoke about the destiny. They started to speak about destiny and they were just talking about, he got mad as well. He said, don't go back to this. Believe that everything is from God and do your role. Simple. You try to explain, clarify, you're gonna cross the border to lordship and you'll be really tortured by yourself. Speaking about the prices, he said the prices belong to God. He got mad when they suggested to him to fix the price. He said the prices are for God. They belong to God. For the modern man, when you speak about God, he always takes it like, he takes it like, what is this God? And you never know when you say the God and this. Well, this is where reside the flow of the real free trade between people. You come and you see something, you lower it, or you want to increase, you want to lower the price and raise the price, whatever, between people. This is what adjusts that keeps the balance between people, emotions. You don't want to bite, don't bite. This is, you call this competition, not when there is a total monopoly of all those corporations. And then you say, this is a discount. That's not, nobody is beneficiating from this discount. You know what I'm saying? It's a system, it's a systematic. What does it mean? It's a system. We create a curriculum, a system, then we become characterized. As you can see today, how many companies they bankrupt? Big companies. You can never think, you say, these companies, they will never, ever, they will last forever. They bankrupt. And why they bankrupt? That's a little deep. You have to go beyond the borders, you have to go beyond the walls. Read behind the curtain of bamboo, as they say. You know, I would like to touch upon something here. Do you see these emotions? This is the affection, this kind of like, tenderness. This is compassion. This is sympathy. This is flowing all the time. You want to participate, to be a shareholder. Hey, you are a real gentleman and a gentlewoman. Or I should say gentlewoman first. They say the ladies first. And a gentleman. Yeah. Do you know you see what's going on these days? About, they call them natural disasters. Natural calamities. They are not natural. What do you mean natural? It's nature is giving that. This is people, human being, as the proverb says, I show him the moon is looking at my finger. This is what a human being. Human being, thinks that he is smart, intelligent. Do you see these emotions? This is the flow of the rivers. This is the flow of the seasons, the 4 seasons. It's not as they claim, the scientists, the warming of the planet. That's a kind of like the second you put it in a secondary or the tertiary position to speak about what's going on. That's the behavior. This is the earthquake, what's going on in China, in Japan, India, in Europe, South America, North America, 2 days ago in Morocco, all of what's happening. Yet, and those people talking, they decide how to, to cause more chaos. That's a human being. They created the system, all governments in the world, they created excluding individuals. I don't want to go far. Individuals who are excluded, exceptions, man and a woman. They don't think that way. Others, they created the system, they come to sit around the table to ruminate their kind of like vegetable words that they ate, and they keep repeating that and they live. Without exceptions, all of them. Look at what the prices do to a human being. The flow, this is the flow, what is going on. You interrupted it, the way you froze it by a monopole. The flow, what does it mean? An internal implosion, what does it do? There is something wants to get out, to open, like a volcano, to open. That has a link with the human's behavior, be careful. You cannot go that far to explain. It needs an encyclopedia to explain it to people. Once you finish the encyclopedia, you find the person, the one who doesn't accept it, he will not understand it. Because that has nothing to do with how you intellectualize A plus B moins C equal. No. It has to do with whether a person has an open heart, an open mind to understand it. So, the way you interrupted it, you are only causing more power of what was internal implosion. It becomes an external explosion. What's going on about this? About the weather. Weird. The way even those spokesmen or spokeswomen, they come and they speak about death. It is as if they speak about nothing, no feelings. Earthquake, do you see in India buildings very old, going down, landslide. In China, cars on the, you know, like on the water is like you're talking about like toys. Buses, lands, bridges broken in Europe, in Greece, and yet we go to war. We go to war, look at that. It's because the way, the empathy that was empathy feeling, there is no empathy anymore. What does it mean, empathy? Empathy is you feel what other people's feel. But I don't feel other people. That's why this is what's going on about the prices. Now, this is on a small scale, on a large scale. What is freezing governments? Is there anything freezing governments? What freezes the governments is the usury. What's supposed to be flow between rich and poor is stagnating, is frozen in the bank to the rich to become more rich. We're not against richness, you know. Speaking about divinity, God did not prevent people from being rich. Get rich and richer and richer and richer. As long as you have certain amount, you give it, as we call it, a charity. You give a charity, which is the third pillar in Islam. Well, few people think this way. But this flow, it's not about just the money, about the flow to continue. But when this is interrupted, here there is a fragmentation, there is no empathy. When there is no empathy, it creates hatred. You know, the hatred, what's going on in the world. This is freezing the governments. Now, what's happening in the government level? A greedflation. Is there a word like this? A greedflation is the same thing the corporations, as you can see them, they control the prices. The corporations, they end up with all these, what they caused, they end up being indebted themselves, facing bankruptcy, chapter 11. Hey, chapter 11, bankruptcy. Bankruptcy, these corporations, what they do before that, most of the time, they raise, they say issue bonds, and the government issue bonds. The government issue bonds. What does it mean, bonds? The bonds is a voucher. They borrow money. The borrow money, the government is on a deficit, which is the case of United States and all these G7. You cannot imagine, everybody knows it, but we take it like, it's like a joke, a deficit. You know what is the deficit? They cannot pay, they can no longer, but they can wage war somewhere. They can spend billions of dollars to get engaged in a war somewhere. Look at that. They borrow money. They issue bonds. What is the bonds? They issue a voucher, You lend the money. We give you a voucher as a proof of purchase that we borrowed $1 million from you. We have to give it to you back. There is certain maturity. And every month, or twice a month, we have to pay you interest. So those who are lending money, which is to governments and to corporations, those are people who control the governments. They control all the governments. The reason why the G7, both of the puppets on a government level and populations, exceptions of 1, 2, 3, count them with your fingers, that are excluded, they are all being enslaved by the prices, by the bonds, and the bonds are different. I don't recall all of them at the moment. Treasury bond, treasury note, and treasury bill. In contrast, unlike, this is a systematic. They created it and they cannot get out of it. It's a maze. You know what I'm saying? It's a labyrinth. So it is. Everybody says, look at the computer. and you are in front of me, and there is a partition, of course. That's part of the civilizations and the cameras. We trust more the camera than we trust you. You trust me, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, and that's civilization. You know, I'm sorry. Our computers was not programmed to be compassionate. You know, I'm sorry. You know, our computers were not programmed to display any kind of sympathy. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry. You hear only I'm sorry, because me, I don't exist anyway. Listen, it's always a pleasure. Thank you very much for your attention, and I see you soon.